morning. How's it going, guys and gals? I don't do that on every live, but I did that today. I'm thinking of Robin Williams, but I'm also thinking about all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to all the dads around the world. Happy Father's Day to my dad. Uh, and I'm a dad, so I know what it's like being a dad. Uh, yeah, dads, take care of yourselves, dads out there. Yeah, yeah. The better, the better you dads can take care of yourself, the better you can serve your families. So yeah. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Got my venti pistachio cream cold brew. It's not a sponsor, but my favorite cold brew lately has been the pistachio cream cold brew from Starbucks. If you guys have seen me before, you know my go-to is the bacon sausage egg wrap. So it's bacon, sausage, diced potato, and scrambled eggs all in a wrap. And just to give you a point of reference how big this wrap is from Starbucks, there's my venti pistachio cream cold brew. So it's a very pretty big breakfast wrap. Yeah. And you gotta be careful when you buy that. Don't buy it right away when you first get it because it's piping hot usually. Yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite breakfast sandwich. And once again, it's got scrambled eggs, diced potatoes, bacon, and sausage. It's really good. Mm, my favorite thing to get at Starbucks, along with my cold brew coffee. So Sunday here in Midwest Indiana, partly cloudy, about 70 some degrees. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Um, I usually always get up before my little family, so I just thought I'd come on here and do a live stream. Chill out with you guys here on live stream. But yeah, Midwest Indiana looks like it's going to have a gorgeous day today. So it's in the 70s, partly cloudy and sunny, and enjoying my breakfast wrap from Starbucks, enjoying my venti pistachio cream cold brew. Starbucks is not sponsoring this live stream. Hope you guys and gals are all doing well out there. Things are going pretty well for me. I hope things are going pretty good for you guys out there, you guys and gals. Thanks for all you guys and gals who've commented on my videos. Um, thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the likes. Last live stream I did, which wasn't that long ago, someone subscribed to the channel, so that was pretty nice. I have a large viewing audience who have yet to subscribe to the channel, and that's okay. But the YouTube algorithm, they do look at subscribes, they do look at views. What else does YouTube? Yeah, it lets me know how many people have subscribed after I've done a live. It lets me know how many people like the live, and it also so yeah, on all the content I make, the YouTube analytics lets me know what's happening with the channel. Well, yeah, I have a large viewership. Um, yeah, sometimes my content gets a mixture of guys and gals watching the channel, and then there's some content it's mostly guys watching the channel. But there's a lot of non-subscribers that are watching the channel, which is interesting. So whenever I put new content out there, there's a large non-subscribed group still watching the channel, which is cool. I'm telling you, if you ever stop by Starbucks, got to get the breakfast right, man. It's really good. Scrambled eggs, bacon, and sausage, and diced potatoes in there. Mm, super, super good. So I think last live stream I was talking a lot about tents and gear, and since it's Father's Day, I'm thinking of all the dads out there. Um, I mean, both dads and moms work hard raising their kids. My dad coached me a lot in baseball, basketball, even a little bit in football. And man, I remember going to the baseball field a lot, and my dad taking me to practices and stuff. And then we even had a few night games at the baseball game, so that was cool. So I have a lot of fond memories of my dad taking me to both baseball and basketball practices, and have a lot of good memories. I also have a few memories of my dad taking me camping. So my dad loved to get out and fish and camp. I'm pretty sure that's where I got my love of the outdoors. Was from my dad, because he loved to go fishing a lot. And of course, my dad's now older, and he probably hasn't gone fishing in a long time. Probably hasn't gone camping in a long time. So my dad turned 80 this past November. He's going to turn 81 this coming November. So it's wild seeing the roles reverse. Um, yeah. It's quite a trip seeing your parents get older. Um, when my parents got married, they had kids right off at the bat because they didn't want to be old grandparents. And but it's so wild how gradual you watch your parents get older. It's super, super gradual. And then, yeah, at least that's how it was for me, watching my dad and mom get older. It's real. It's a trip. Um, yeah, my late Irish mommy's not around anymore, but I remember her telling people a lot, "Have a blessed day." So, so both my parents are really kind people, but they also both had a fighting spirit about them, and so they both believed in being really kind to people, but they also believed in not letting people walk over you. So that's cool too. They were a good, and I think my parents, yeah, my parents were definitely. I'm so glad. I mean, my parents were very, very supportive of their sons while growing up. So, but my dad's still around, and like I said, he's 80, and I'm not sure when he stopped, but he used to bicycle every day. I'm not sure when he stopped that. But part of the reason he reached 80 was being so active still, you know. My dad used to have a saying, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So it's important, no matter what your age is, to stay active. So, and my dad really preached that. He stayed active all the time. So that's probably why he made 80. He quit smoking a long time ago too. So that's probably the other reason he made it to 80. But when I look at him, he looks like he's not. He looks like he's younger than 80. I think that's because he was active. So, but yeah, super active. But yeah. Anyways, I'm thinking of all the dads out there, and I'm thinking of how I grew up as a kid. I really liked how I liked the era that I grew up in because there were no participation trophies. There you had wins and losses, you had championships to fight for. Uh, I learned a lot in my first summer league baseball team. I learned so much about the game of baseball, and then I also played basketball, and then I also wrestled, and I also ran cross country. But in all my sports, I love the fact that we didn't get participation trophies. I love that. I love that I grew up in an era of wins and losses. Um, I think my first baseball team I played on was not such a good baseball team, but that was a cool experience because I didn't assume we were going to win all the time. And then my subsequent two other baseball teams ended up being championship baseball teams. So I got used to winning all the time. And so, yeah, sports is really good. Uh, I'm sure there's some areas of the country where they don't give out participation trophies, and it is about wins and losses. And I think when you grow up that way, I think it's better for you. You know, um, I'm not a big fan of the participation trophies. I don't think that really helps out young people, but I could be wrong. You know, but um, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't grow up in the era of participation trophies. But there are still some parts of the country where there are some parts of the country where kids are growing up the way I did, which was you left the house and you didn't come home until it got dark, or and you basically they wanted you to be outside and not come back until until it was it was dark outside. So there are some kids that are growing up that way. I think that's really cool. Um, yeah, and then like once again, I'm just grateful I didn't grow up in the era of participation trophies. Hey, what's up? Someone saying hi in the chat. Hey, how's it going? But yeah. So last live I talked about the tent sizes, and I also talked about gears. Um, One of my favorite spots to grab gear is probably the Army Navy surplus store. There is another place I've been checking out. It's called the Sportsman's Warehouse. Um, Occasionally, when I go over to the Sportsman's Warehouse, you can find a clearance section over there too. Um, and like anything, buying stuff, sometimes if you buy stuff when a certain season's ended, you also find some really cool gear items at clearance prices. And then I think REI also has a program where they let you know that when their stuff's going on sale. So you can actually get some really good gear items for a fraction of the price sometimes. Um, the Army Navy surplus I go to is off of Arlington. It's on the east side of Indiana, of downtown Indianapolis, on the east side. It's off Arlington Street, the Army Navy surplus store. So I'm in Indiana. So any of you who are in the Indiana, go if you're in the Indianapolis area and you can go over to the east side, the Army Navy surplus store. They're not sponsoring this live, but I give them a thumbs up because they got some really good prices on full tang knives, folder knives, tents. Um, they have all kinds of jackets and gear. It's really cool. Once again, that's Army Navy surplus store off Arlington Street. Dick's Sporting Goods is another place I've bought. Uh, I bought a winter sleeping bag that is still going strong. I bought that at Dick's Sporting Goods. There's another sporting good place I'll walk through. It's the oh man, what is it called? Something athletic sports place. But yeah, a lot of these sports, places like Sportsman's Warehouse, um, you have to go in there often and finally kind of get the flow of when they are going to throw their stuff on clearance. Um, and not only that, there's usually some really good online deals too. So I've even uh, I haven't bought any gear yet from TikTok, but there's even some good deals on TikTok of tents. There was a cot tent that I was really interested in. It was a one. There was a one-person cot tent, and then there was a two-person cot tent. I think the one-person cot tent on TikTok was like $87, and then the two-person was almost double that price, and that was on TikTok. But yeah, most of my knives, most of my full tang knives and my folder knives have been from the Army Navy surplus store. So, and I have bought a few knives from the Outdoor Gear Outfitters. I've bought some gear there. They used to have, I think it's Dave Canterbury that had a store here in Indiana, but now they switched it to an online format instead of being a store, a brick and mortar store. Now they switched to an online. They switched to an online venue. So I have no problem with buying stuff online. There's nothing like going to places like Dick's or Sportsman Warehouse or even an Army Navy surplus store where you're actually touching the gear. Um, but yeah, REI and also Eddie Bauer. Um, I have a lot of Eddie Bauer shirts and Eddie Bauer jackets. So that's a pretty. I love to buy outdoor stuff from them, Eddie Bauer. But yeah, the difference between me and Corporal's Corner. Corporal's Corner is a former Marine, but once a Marine, always a Marine. Corporal's Corner, and oh my God, he builds shelters from all kinds of natural sources. I think he's even made a shelter in a cave. He's even made a shelter with fallen logs. He camps in the rain. He camps in the snow. I try to camp when the weather's perfect. uh, I think the only I've yet I've yet to make content in the rain or the snow. Uh, I don't. I mean, I could, but I just choose not to make that kind of content. One, because that's not my. But he had a philosophy. Corporal's Corner did. If it's not raining, we're not training. So he's really big on it. Doesn't so he can do his content anytime. And once again, that's Corporal's Corner. Another gear channel I love, and I think he views himself as a gear channel and outdoor gear review. Well, there's the Outdoor Gear Review run by Luke, and then there's the Nut and Fancy Project uh, run by this retired Air Force guy. And once again, that's called the Nut and Fancy Project. And what I like about him is when he runs into people, he'll do a gear check. So I think he's based out of Utah. Nothing fancy is. And like I said, I believe he's a retired Air Force colonel, I think. But his channel's called the Nothing Fancy Project. And he will actually do a gear check on you. Uh, a lot of the people that follow the Nothing Fancy Project, anyways, he'll see what kind of gear you have on. Well, you have a pocket knife. Do you have a folder knife? Do you have a bolt tang knife? Uh, yeah, he does the whole 9 yards on a gear check. And there's been a few of his viewers that got an A+ on the gear check. So I don't do that if I run into people. I don't gear check them, but it's kind of neat to see that Nothing Fancy does that on his channel, that he does do gear checks. EDC stands for Everyday Carry. So, um, my everyday carry is, I got one little tool that's an everyday carry. Y'all don't laugh. I got a little tiny flashlight. That's an everyday carry. And I got this multi-tool, which is an everyday carry. But it's funny, it's not a very big multi-tool. There we go. Yeah, this is one of my everyday carries. It's a little multi-tool. I think it's got some scissors, it's got a knife, it's even got a screwdriver. I think this is called the Gerber dime. But look, I've carried it so much I've worn off the paint. So I do have some other multi-tools that are bigger than this, but I don't. I got some mid-range multi-tools. I got some mid-range, I got mid. I want to say the mid-range is probably this high, and then the bigger multi-tool is probably that high. I do notice the bigger the item, it's most unlikely that I'm ever going to carry it every day. Because a lot of it you have to go by weight, and right. So a lot of people will not. If things get too bulky in your everyday carry, you're most likely going to leave it at home and you're not going to carry it. So I think a lot of things go into EDC. Weight and size goes into EDC. And like I said, at least for me, if the item gets too big or too heavy or too bulky, I'm most likely going to leave it at home. I'm not going to carry it on me every day. But then people make those, call them get home kits. Those are cool. Is an emergency going to happen every day? Probably not. But what's really neat about some of these get home kits, maybe you're not having an emergency, maybe a stranger's having an emergency and you're helping out a stranger. So I guess that would be a good reason to have an everyday carry kit. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of cool things to carry in an EDC, and also a carry home bag. A carry home bag could also have a small shelter materials in it to make a small shelter. So you can have that in a bag. Now I know when the weather changes, they tell people to pack a blanket, um, like in the wintertime or in the extreme heat. Make sure you pack, a little bit of snacks, a little bit of food items, and a little bit of water. So, and then I also I need to go. One of the things I need to do is probably re-look through my cert bag. I did some cert training, and cert training is cool because it talks about how to, if you have a natural disaster in your neighborhood, how to set up a command center, and then also how to start going throughout the neighborhood, seeing all who needs help and stuff. So I know Indiana here had a couple tornadoes touch down on the south part of Indiana, southern part of the state of Indiana. There was a few tornadoes that had touched down, and tornadoes are devastating. I mean, a long, long time ago, I want to say about maybe 30 years ago, I got to drive through a neighborhood in Beech Grove that got hit by a few tornadoes. And it was really weird. Some houses were completely gone, and then some houses were barely touched. So um, we don't get tornadoes as often as some other states do. But I definitely pay attention when it says, the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. Tornado watch means conditions are favorable to bring up a tornado. And tornado warning means a tornado has actually been spotted. So, um, yeah, a few days ago when they had all those watches and warning, it never turned into a warning, but they had a lot of watches. So that's pretty cool. But it's amazing the technology they have now to warn people heads up when bad weather happens. So the reason I mentioned the bad weather stuff and also the heat is having emergency items in your get home bag. So water, food, little tiny quick snacks. So yeah, I talked about the three adventure channels that I watch the most: the Outdoor Gear Review, run by Luke; Nut and Fancy Project, run by a retired Air Force colonel; and Corporal's Corner, who's a Marine. So those are the three outdoor channels I watch a lot on YouTube. But oh yeah, for those of you who may have not gone camping, there, it's so funny. Lately, I've been coming across things of all the health benefits you get from being out in the woods. There's lots of health benefits to being out in the woods. Uh, it does something for our brains, and uh, so let's say you go camping at a national, like in my case, I go camping in Brown County State Park. I'm breathing fresh air. I'm listening to the sounds of the birds. Of course, you're occasionally hearing people too because they're at the state park. But yeah, it turns out there's all kinds of benefits to being outside. So especially when you get away from the city and you go to a state park and you're breathing fresh air, watching animals in the sky, watching animals on the ground. But I don't get to go camping as often as I would like. I would love to go camping more often. But when I do, I make a big deal about it. I usually uh, I usually either make chicken wraps or I go to a sandwich place like Subway and have them divided up into different sections and throw that in the cooler. Got all my favorite drinks. I got all kinds of different chocolates. And then eventually, so what I do is I get to the campsite. I make sure I have an electric hookup because I like keeping all my all my gadgets charged up. Uh, I usually set up my tent first, and then I set up my hammock, and then I set up my lawn chair, and then and then I fill my cooler with ice and throw all my chocolates and food, whatever I decide to take for me for that trip. And then just before, or just as the sun is setting, I'm lighting my campfire, and I usually watch it till like 2:30 in the morning. And then about 20 yards, I have 20 yards away is the showers and bathrooms and stuff. So I'll hike up to the shower and bathroom, take a quick shower, And then when I hike back to the campsite, I'll go climb in my sleeping bag, climb in my tent. But then I got surprised because I don't have to leave the campsite till 2 in the afternoon. But these birds were making a lot of noise at about like 6 in the morning. So it was kind of a trip hearing these birds sing at 6 in the morning. And I tried to go back to sleep and I couldn't. I laid there in my sleeping bag, tried to close my eyes, and I could still hear the birds. There were a lot of trees in my campsite, a lot of pine trees. Man, they were making so much noise. I didn't know that was going to happen to me like at 6 in the morning. But I laid in my sleeping bag, tried to close my eyes, see if I could fall back off to sleep. I think I did that for about an hour, and then I got up and packed up my stuff. I didn't have to leave the campsite till 2 in the afternoon. This is in Brown County State Park. So I went ahead and got me in a day hike, did me a short day hike, and then jumped back in the car. And before I got home, I went and stopped, got a quarter pounder with cheese, and enjoyed me a cheeseburger there, and then headed back home. So, but mainly what I'm pointing out is uh, I either do a 1 night camping trip or sometimes I do a 2 night camping trip. So if I'm planning on a 2 night camping trip, I'm probably buying 4 stacks of birch wood. Because birch wood's my favorite thing to burn in a campfire. And then if it's just a 1 night camping trip, I'll only buy 2 stacks of birch wood. So, but yeah, the whole point, at least when I go camping, is I'm not playing survival guy out there. I'm just enjoying myself, because I got my favorite drinks there, my favorite snacks. There's plenty of other channels that do the survival thing. My thing is just to really enjoy the evening and watch the campfire. So to me, I guess everyone has their thing. Uh, and when I'm at home too, sometimes I'll light the campfire in the backyard, and I'll just sit there and just enjoy the campfire. So yeah, different people do lots of different things to relax. My relaxing would be camping and sitting by a campfire. That would be my favorite relaxing time. And then of course when I can't go camping, I try to go light a campfire in the backyard and relax that way. One time I did a live stream and it was winter time. I had my Texas, you can find this on my playlist. I had my Texas sweatshirt on. It was a black Texas sweatshirt. I had my cowboy boots on and jeans, and you could see my breath while I was doing the live stream. And I'm shuffling around the campfire. It's pretty funny. Like I said, I got it on my playlist, and I just happened to wake up that morning and just really wanted to do a live stream. And I wanted to do a live stream with a campfire. And I did it at the most inopportune time because there was snow on the ground. There was ice all around the fire pit. But I don't know, man. I just woke up and just really wanted to do a live stream that particular winter morning. And so sometimes I'll do live streams. Now that's the first live stream I've ever done in the really bad cold. My audience could see me kind of chattering. My audience could kind of see me chattering my teeth while I was doing that live stream. So that was pretty funny. So I've had some pretty funny moments on the different live streams I've done. But that's so wild. But yeah, I think I had someone comment on one of my teepee tents, and um, when you're buying gear, or at least when you buy the different teepee tents from Ozark Trail, uh, you got to read carefully whether they've treated their material or not, and you also they've had words like water resistant, but that doesn't mean that you'll stay dry. So a lot of tents will have on it, it'll let you know if they've treated the tent. And so yeah, you want to read those real careful, especially if you're thinking about camping out in the rain. You got to make sure. Now, what some people do, if they know for sure the tent doesn't have any kind of protection, uh, I've seen some people they'll buy some material to make it waterproof, and so they'll throw like a treatment in on all the seams and stuff. I try to buy the kind of gear that already comes with it, that where the manufacturer's already done that, has treated all the seams and stuff, so it's waterproof. So, but I have seen people buy the material themselves and treat all their tents. So, but I personally don't try and sleep out or camp out in the tent in the rain. But I do watch a lot of channels that do purposely sleep out in the rain. Corporal's Corner is one that comes to mind. The other one comes to mind is the Nut and Fancy. He'll he'll hike way up in the mountains. Oh my God, I think he even has a GPS thing too, so his family knows exactly where he's at. And once again, he's Nut and Fancy's based out of Utah. He will go hike to this favorite lake. He doesn't say where it's at because he doesn't want to see a whole bunch of people up there. But he'll go hike up on a mountain towards this secluded lake in Utah, and he looks like he does like a 3 or 4 night stay there. And once again, this was in Utah. And once again, the channel's called Nut and Fancy Project. But yeah, he'll go hike in the mountains to this secluded lake in Utah. And some of the gear he cooks with, sometimes he's willing to carry heavy items. I imagine his backpack might be 80 pounds. So he's really rucking it. I mean, he's carrying an 80-pound bag on his back and hiking to a secluded lake in Utah. And once again, he doesn't tell people exactly where it's at because he doesn't want to be camping with a whole bunch of people. Now, his camping's really remote camping, the Nut and Fancy guy. And then the other channel that does really remote camping would probably be Luke from the Outdoor Gear Review. So now, there are a few channels that do that stealth camping, and that's kind of interesting for me to watch. I don't do the stealth camping because that's just not my vibe. But I do sometimes watch stealth camping. So, but anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys and gals for hanging out with me on this live stream. I hope you guys and gals are all doing well out there. Thank you for all the likes, comments, and shares. If you end up liking the content you see on this channel, please consider giving me a subscribe. And until the next video, see you guys. Peace. Cheers. Later, Gators. Oh, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Like I said, dads, make sure you take care of yourselves, because the better you take care of yourselves, the better you can serve others. Anyways, happy Father's Day to my dad. And yeah, my little family's going to take me somewhere for my Father's Day. Anyways, I just want to wish happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And once again, thanks for all of you who hung out with me here on the live stream. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, or I'll see you in the next live stream. And once again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Cheers. Peace. Oh, the beauty of going live. Peace. Cheers. Later, Gators. Take care, everyone. And once again, happy Father's Day to all the dads around the world. Peace. Take care, everybody.